Okay, so we start a parenthesis over here. Umasha lemato mimenu kulu. He was talking about what is considered to be the uh, the level of light. We're talking about the Eish Levana al Gabe Eish Shchora. It says that the Torah was given the white light on top of the black light. So we're talking about what is considered to be the white light, the white fire. White fire on top of black fire. What is the white fire? So the white represents the place where there is light. He says that there are certain things that seem dark to us. The reason why they are dark is because we can't comprehend it, too high for us. But from the perspective of Hashem, is the opposite. The real light is what's the highest up, and everything that is lower than the level of Hashem himself is dark, because it's not the full capacity, it's not fully light, because there's a tzimtzum. So he says that which is less, that would be the eish shchora, that would be the black. And he says, afilu keser, even if we talk about the level of keser, which is the high level, nikra choshech, that is still called choshech, dark enough, because it's not yet. It's already not the real light. It's not yet the levana. It's not the eish levana, not the white, because it's already a descent. It's already mitzumtzum. It's not the light itself. And he gives Begam Kemal Derech Moshel. He's going to give you an example. So we have this concept in the Gemara. It says, Shirako bitihara lemai ahani. What does that mean? You're going to put up a candle in middle of the daylight, bitihara, while there is sun. What does it help? A candle in the day doesn't help anything. Now, that doesn't mean that a candle does not provide light. If you put the candle in the dark, then it'll provide light. But in the presence of a strong light, like the sunshine, like the daytime, when there's a lot of light, then a candle is called darkness. Because Hare, Haner Nikra Choshech Legabe Oirayoim. So you see that the Ner is called Choshech relative to the light of the day, Avshel Legabe Halaylo Nikra Ner, even though relative to the night, it's called an air. It will be a lamp because it will light. So the level of Keser may be a great light, but relative to the Ein Sof, it's called dark. Well, Derech Zom Razal, similar to this, our sages of blessed memory tell us that Kol Hanevim B'Teilim La'osit. All the prophets will be nullified in the future. In other words, there's going to be such a high level of godliness revelation that we don't need the prophets' revelation. The prophets reveal the word of Hashem, but we're not going to need them because there's going to be a tremendous revelation. So it's explained in elsewhere the idea that the light of the prophecy of the prophets, it'll be as non-considerate, we won't count it against the revelation, just like a lamp in the daytime. So there's going to be chulu. There's going to be no need for revelation, for nevuah, because it's going to be daytime. The revelation of Hashem is going to be open for everybody. It's going to be of no use, the revelation of the prophecy. It's going to be like a lamp in the daytime. What's the value of the prophecy at that point? Kolshkein. And how much more so? This is talking about relative to the Gilui of La'osi. Now we're talking about relative to the Ein Sof, the Eish Levana, the fire, the white, relative to which is Eish Levana, is the Ein Sof by himself. So he says V'kolshkein. And how much more so if we talk about the Lagabe Ein Sof, if we talk about relative to the Ein Sof himself, Asher Kidei Sheyuchach Ha'ora, that in order to get a ray, Liyis Mokum Le'eser Sfiras, that in order to be a source for the 10 Sfiras, there needed to be a restriction and a kind of a tzimtzum of a mokum ponu, which means a very powerful tzimtzum, to leave an empty space. And then after that, only a line and a strand, a small line and a small strand was put into that mokum ponu. That basically means it's a huge tzimtzum. So that's a level of Ein Sof, which is much greater than the level, even the La'asid level. So for sure, next to that, that is called Eish Chayra. Everything else is not considered to be of importance next to the oil, next to the light of the Ein Sof itself. So v'hinei inyan shenikra eish. But why do we call it a fire? So we are talking about white. We understand we have white. That's the open, the light, and then we have dark. That's the choshech. But why do we call it eish? V'hinei inyan shenikra eish. Why do we call it? We're calling it fire, but there's a white fire, there's a black fire. Why is it Eish? As written elsewhere in the Mamer that begins with Atem Nitzovim, Pirush Mashikosuv, explaining the pasuk over there, it says, Ki Avaya Likecho Eish Oichlahu. Hashem, your God, is a fire that consumes. In that Maimer, he explains what's the idea of the fish. And another, V'oid. Dihine derech klal yesh daled yesodus. Generally, we talk, there are 4 elements that everything is made up from these 4 elements, which is Eish, Ruach, Mayim, and Ofer. The fire, the wind, water, and the sand. Shehem neged daled oilemois atzilus bria yitzira asira. They correspond to the 4 worlds of atzilus bria yitzira asira. Eish ruach mayim correspond to atzilus bria yitzira asira. Beho eish. So what is the fire? Ubechinas atzilus. That's the level of atzilus. Why? But we're going to get to the Eish, even to the level of much higher than Atzilus. But starting in the generally, we talk about Eish is the level of Atzilus. Why is Atzilus called like fire? The Kemoy Shetava HaEish Lihistalik, just as the nature of fire is to leave. Fire, you need to hold on to the wick so that the fire stays. Otherwise, the fire leaves. It doesn't want to stay. So, kach, likewise, also, Atzilus Meroima V'nizgav Mibiyah. Atzilus is exalted and higher than Bri Yitzira Asiyah. So, this is on a higher level, Kibiyah. Brira Yitzira Asiya are created being. and the level of Atzilus is godly. So the level of Atzilus is much higher. So that's when we talk about in all the worlds, Atzilus Bri Yitzir Asiya, Eish Ruch Mayim Afa. Within Atzilus itself, V'ine Batzilus Atzmai, Yesh Gam Kein Atzilus Bri Yitzir Asiya. There's also the 4 levels in Atzilus. Sha'keser Gam HaChochmai Lo. We talk about Keser of Atzilus, and also the level of Chochmah, the level of supreme Chochmah, level of Chochmah. That's Nikra Atzilus Sheba Atzilus. Within Atzilus, that's the Atzilus of Atzilus. Ubina, and the level of Bina, Nikra, that's called Bria Sheba Atzilus. V'zo v'nukva, and the Zo and Nukva, the Zeir Ampin and Malchus, the Sviris, Chagas, Netzach Yesod, and then Nukva, that's Malchus, the Zo and Nukva, and Yitzir Vasir Sheba Atzilus. So that's within Atzilus. But Derech Klal Yoser, and then when you go even more general way, Yesh Abiyad Klolus. Then there is Atzilus B'ri Yitzira of the general. But Atzilus HaYoser Elyon, and the highest level of Atzilus is Nikra Eish. It's called Eish. That's what's called Eish, because this is the highest separate level, the highest level. The Im and yet, even though it's called Eish, he Nikras Eish Choira. It's still the black fire. Legabe Hamaitzel Eisov Baruch Hu, Shenikra Eish Levana. Relative to the Maitzel, Hashem, who separates it all of his creation, he is called Eish Levana. That's all the white. And everything, even the level of Atzilus, the Klolus, is called Eish Choira. The Gam, in addition, the Chlal, Zo, Legabe, Atika Kadisha, when we talk about the Zeir Ampin, relative to Atika Kadisha, Nikra, Eish Choira, Legabe, Eish Levana. So that's why it's explained, it's called the black fire relative to the Eish Levana. Basically, he's going up in the highest Madregas. The Ein Sof itself is the Eish Levana, Al Gabi Eish Choira. So why does it have to be dark? Why is there this darkening of the light? And that's an Eish Levana. So why does it have to become a black fire? Why does it have to lower itself? So he says, because since the worlds are not able to accept, receive such a high, great light, and there is no thought that can grasp Hashem. Lekach vayar elikim esaoir kitoiv. After Hashem creates the light, the pasuk says that God saw that the light is kitoiv. Our sages translate what means kitoiv. It means lignois, to hide this light. In other words, it's not good to use it, but it's good to hide it, which means to take that powerful light of Hashem and hide it in order to be able to be used. The light itself in its powerful state is not able to come down to benefit the created being. So Hashem saw what the pasuk means when it says kitoiv is lignois, to hide it, that are benignas, and it was hidden bebechinas yoshes choshech sisrei chulu. It was hidden in that level in which we say that he places darkness, the place in which he hides. And then from that darkness, from that tzimtzum, we are able to be mamshich further down. V'zeu, and this is the meaning of it, Yoshev b'seiser elyon. He sits in the supreme hiding, in the choshech, in hiding. B'tzeil Shaddai Yisloinon. In the shadow of Shaddai he will dwell, which means you'll take from the shade of Shaddai and at Tzimtzum to get from that level of Seiser Choshech, which is Litzamtzem Ulahalim as Ha'oyim, to restrict and to obscure that light, Bekamo Tzimtzumim Umusachim, with many restrictions and many covers, Hamavdilin Umastirim as Oido Yisborich, that separate and that block, that hide, cover his blessed light, so that there shall be a revelation below in Bechinas Gan Eden Ha'elyon, in the upper Gan Eden, which is Tainug HaNeshamas Chulu, which is the delight of the Neshamas, and then the level of Brosim, and then the level of Yitzartim Chulu. So basically, to take that light which Hashem hid was mitzamtzem in the choshech, and then through contraction of tzimtzumim to bring it down to Gan Eden Elyon, and from there weiter to the rest of the Gan Eden Atach, the rest of Bia, Brosim, Yitzartim Chulu. Va'ayin mashekosov al posik vaydaber lekim chulu va'eira lavrom chulu bekel shaddai. So he says, Omar lomoidai. He explains, he said, enough. You know that's a tzimtzum. Va'ayin b'shara yichudim perik shmini yichud hei be'inyan oir mayim rokia, the three levels of light water rokia. Shenimshach al yidei shem shaddai, that extends through the name Shaddai. The Yuvon Apima Shekose Be'inyan Zeh, Al Posik will understand it, what is written on this topic, on the Posik, Hallelu Keil Bekoche, Hallelu Birkia Uzei. Apima Shekose V'divra Maschil Komifligi V'sif to the Rekia Chulu, Shu Gan Eden Ha'elyen Shenikra Rekia. So what is Rekia? That's the upper level Gan Eden. That's called a cover, a sky, a firmament. So in order that they get from his blessed light comes through contraction chulu, canal, as we said before. Okay, so basically this is all the level of covering and blocking the light of Hashem, so in order it should come down through a tzimtzum, so we get a little bit of light. V'zeu uvetuvoy mechadish b'chol yom tomid maseh bereshis. Uvetuvoy, in Hashem's kindness. What's kindness? The kindness that Hashem hid. Ha'ir kitoy, he hid the light. That vitalizes every day the maseh bereshis, the act of creation. Pirush. Uvetuvoy. What does it mean? Uvetuvoy. Masharo kitoy. Lignois, send by Yaling, he says, Kitev Lignois, that lie, Kitev Lignois, that it is good to hide the oil. Mizen is have Bechinas Chidush Maisa Bereshis. From this was brought into being, was created. The renewal, Mechadish Bechoyim to Maisa Bereshis, the Chidush Maisa Bereshis. Liyes ma'ayin liyesh, so that you get from ex nihilo to existence ma'ayin liyesh. The revelation of this, the light and the hasoga. How does the Gan Eden get the tainug and hasoga? How is the creation work? How does it come down? How is it able, the gilu, to come down from ayin liyesh into Gan Eden, ha'elyon, etc.? That is through V'tuva, is by Hashem hiding the Toiv Lignois already hid the light, and then from there can come down the Gilu Atarik Vasor. Meshakosuf Lahanchil Oyahvai Yesh. The Pasuk says that there is by me to inherit to those who love me. Who is those that love me? Those are the tzaddikim that are in Gan Eden. So Hashem says, I will inherit them. There is to inherit them. The koi al Gan Eden. That goes on the Gan Eden. Shenikra. So when it says yesh, meaning I can give those who love me, the tzaddikim, yesh, when they're in Gan Eden. Yesh is a Gan Eden. That's the chidush ma'aseh bereishis. The koi al Gan Eden shenikra yesh me'ayin. That's called yesh me'ayin. Ayin me'inyan kitoy lignois. The subject in Reish Parshas Kudei Daf Reish Chof Amid Beis, Reish Parshas Emer Daf Peches Amadal, Uberabis Bereishis Parsha Gimel Boy Seif Parsha Yudches, Ba'ayim Hashekosem Me'inyan Uvetuv Mechadesh Chulu, Ayidei B'chinas Yud Shehu B'chinas Tzimtzum Chulu, V'div Ramaschel V'eschanon U'v'div Ramaschel Ashira Chulu T'goy Go. All right. Kitzur. So he says, just like Mibsori Erzelaka, that what comes down through persons, the oisios that come down from the machshove, udibur, level of gilui. So k'makein lemailo, so the same thing is above, is the hamshoche milmailo. Shegilui heir began Eden. Is the word ha'ir over here, David?
No, hurak.
Huh?
It's gurak. It says shegilui ha'oir began Eden hurak.
Okay, I understand. So the word is ha'oir, not it. Okay. Shegilui ha'oir, that's what I want to know. So shegilui ha'oir began Eden hurak mibichinas oisius. The level of the light is only from the level of oisius. That's not the light himself. It's only from the level of oisius. As we say, b'yud nivra ha'olam haba. It was with yud that the olam haba was created. Shem levushim. Those are garments. Avo batzmus yizbarei, but in the blessed atzmus essence, leis machshava tvisa beklal. Over there, no thought can capture him at all. But that is written, Yoshesh Choshech Sisrei. That's dark, the place where Hashem hides himself. He's not revealed. And this is from below to above. We call it Choshech. Nikra Ma'ashed, but Nikra Ma'ashed Ein Boi Hasoga. We call that which we can't grasp, we call that dark. But from above perspective to below, it's the opposite way around. That it is kitoiv is good, lignois to hide it, to make it in the level of darkness. In order from this to be a revelation of Gan Eden. This contraction of that, because it is good and we're going to hide it, conceal the level of oil that is you're hiding the oil in a place where it's dark. That is like in the example we get, we talked about the letters in the soul itself. We said that there was letters in the machshava, there is letters in dibur, and there is letters in the soul itself. This level of hiding the toiv lignois, magma choshech, is the letters which is in the soul. Kedei liyes gilu oisius mamesh b'machshava or dibur, so that from the oisius and the nefesh there should be a gilui in the machshava or dibur. So he's going to explain now, like the neshama itself also we have different steps. We talk about the actual neshama is even higher than the seichel, and that's even higher than that. The etzem neshama is higher than that, but the etzem neshama is a source for the seichel that comes down. The same thing is with the letter. The letters are just a source for the letters. Let's see inside. So in the lame, what it means to say the Kvan is Bayer. We already explained. Sha'af shetzuras chov beis oisios hu kavua b'mhus hanefesh atzma. Although the shape of the 22 letters of the Aleph base are set in the essence of the soul itself, mikol makoim, but yet lo isha oisios heim b'mhus hanefesh v'atzmusa. But the soul is not actually the essence. The letters are not the actual nefesh and the essence. In other words, there are 22 letters there, but that is not the soul itself. Sha'atzmus hanefesh, because when you talk about the soul itself, not only is it higher than the level of oisios, it's even higher than the level of seichel midas. Sha'atzmus hanefesh hilamayla gam memahus seichel midas. It's higher than the essence of the seichel midas which shine in the body. So what does it mean? What does it mean that it is in the nefesh itself? But it is higher than the letters that come in machshava and dibur very much. In other words, the seichel itself is not, the nefesh is much higher than that. But what it means, the ha'ora and the koyach from the essence of the soul, when it comes and dresses up in koyach, that becomes the source of seichel and moyach. It's not that the nefesh itself is moyach midos, because the nefesh itself is higher than seichel midos that come to the guf, but rather it's much higher than the. But when a ha'ora and a koyach from the nefesh comes dressing up in the body, in the moyach, that becomes the source of seichel moyach. But when that koyach is still included in the essence of the soul, it is higher than the essence of the source of the seichel that is in the moyach. So basically, the nefesh itself is even higher than the mocker of the seichel. The mocker of the seichel is only when the nefesh comes down into seichel. Same thing is when we talk about the letters that are included in the nefesh. Those are powers, that when they descend to be revealed in the person's thought and the person's speech, so then they will shape in the letter of oisius. The imkos and yet. So really, we're saying now that there is no oisius in the essence of the soul, but yet koiches elu im shehem l'mayla adayin b'bchinas oisius hamachshava v'adibur mamish, even though they're higher than the level of the oisius of thought and speech. It's still a descent and a contraction relative to the essence of the soul. So while it is much higher than the oisius machshava and dibur, but it's still not the essence of the neshama. Why are they this simsum of b'shvilis miza'achakach? So that later from this will be the gilui oisius machshava dibur, should be the letter in machshava dibur, should be the revelation. Those are actually materialistic letters that are machshava dibur, tzimtzum gomur mamish, and that is an additional tzimtzum, a complete tzimtzum. The reish is tzimtzum zeh. What's the beginning of this tzimtzum? The beginning of that restriction of that tzimtzum is to create the shape of letters without a material in the soul itself, and then machshava dibur comes down in a chomrizik way. So he says, "V'chol b'chinas tzimtzumim elu," all these contractions. So basically, we're saying there is the essence of the soul. Essence of the whole soul is higher than letters. It's higher than seichel amidos. It is just a source that later on, when it comes down, so it will be seichel amidos. It's a source that later on there will be letters of machshava. This is a creation of letters without the chayim. So why are all these tzimtzumim? Who moshul inyan ketoiv lignos? That's a moshul for the idea ketoiv lignos, to hide. In order to get is lignos to hide, to block, to that pirush. The Isa, we find that it says bereish kurmenusa de malko goliv gilifu betihiro ilah. Is the word goliv gilifu, right? The word is gilifu.
Yes.
Gilifu, yeah.
It's Gimel Lamed Yud Pei Vav.
Yeah.
Gilifu.
Okay, so bereish kurmenusa, which means in the beginning of the Rotzin of Hashem, of the Malka, to create the world, Goliv Gilufo B'Tihiru Ilah, he engraved in the level of Tihiru Ilah, he sort of carved out a space for the world, which is brought down a lot. We're going to, in Chassidus, discuss this in the way creation took place. And that is the idea of the restriction. To bring about the creation of the letters of engrave, by way of example. Because also letters have different levels. Talking about Machshava Dibur, we're talking writing, then you talk sometimes when you engrave the letters in the material itself, it's not yet separate letters by himself. So this idea of Kol Law, which there's an engravement, that is the beginning of the Isach Hakika. Oh, Inyan, what is the idea? Kamashakos al Posik, Zeus Chukas HaTorah. Shachakika, Ugavoya Yoser Moishis Haksav. That when you engrave, that is higher than the level of the written. Letters that are engraved are on a higher level than the letters that are written. Why? Because engraved, the letters are from the material itself. It's not added, not something outside. The idea was say that it was engraved. The Naseres Hadibris, they were engraved on the luchas. As opposed to letters that are written, Aksav Hedyet, which is not from the Eibishter, but when we write Udover Bifnei Atzmei, that is a independent item. And also V'gam Mashchir Haklaf Legamri. It also darkens totally the parchment. When you write on a parchment, you make it dark. So the writing makes the parchment dark. But when you engrave, you're not making it dark. Even though they are from the material itself, they too will darken a little bit that a good stone, that precious stone that is shining. When you make an engravement, some of the clarity of the stone becomes darkened. That was there before the שבמוקרים החקיקה אינה בויר כל כך, in the place where you engraved it's not so clear. פנים של מובן שזהו עניין יושש חשך סיסרי, but we ran out of time over here, so we'll continue mitzvah tomorrow over here. And everybody have a good day. And we'll see
Bye-bye.
tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
Thank you.